Hey guys, I'm Aaron, and today we're going to design and prepare a house for output ready for fabrication less than 10 minutes. A gingerbread house ready for fabrication in less than 10 minutes. I can't remember if I said that at the beginning or not, but so we're here in January right now as of this filming, and took some time off around Christmas. Couple days before the holiday, my daughter said, "Hey, let's make a gingerbread house." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Let's do it before Christmas," which meant doing it in the next day. So I did what I always do when I'm presented by any problem, and I opened up SketchUp. So what I was able to do was come up with really quick plans. I was able to print them out to scale, and we ended up making a gingerbread house in, yeah, about a day. So design to finished. And I'm gonna show you guys how I did it. All right, so this is not the most impressive house in the entire world, but for a gingerbread house, it's pretty cool, right? It's pretty modern. So what we have here is I started with some basic parameters. I wanted each of my pieces to be able to fit at scale, all the non-rectangular, let me say that again. The non-rectangular pieces I wanted to fit on a piece of paper at scale so I could trace them directly onto the gingerbread. The rectangular pieces, so this front, these two roofs, they were just rectangles. I didn't actually need to, I could just pull dimensions off and cut those out of gingerbread easy enough. So what I did was I ran upstairs to my office. I drew a rectangle on the ground saying this is about how big I want this to be. And then I started designing. I want to walk you through exactly how that went, how this went out to layout. And yeah, that's about it. So I literally started by drawing a rectangle on the ground like this. And I looked at it and I went, okay, how much bigger or smaller should that be? And I think I ended up with about 9 inches by 8 inches. The 8 inches meant it would fit onto 8.5 by 11 with dimensions. 9 was the biggest dimension, also should fit on that size paper. So I started with just that. So I went 9 by 8, not 9 feet, inches by 8 inches. And there we go. So I started with something like that. Maybe it was 10 inches. Maybe I may have gone a little bit bigger. So something along those lines. And from there, I literally did the most simple thing you can possibly think of, which was I did something like that. I came here, drew a line across like this. I push-pulled again to pull up like this. And then I took this edge and I scooted it down vertically, constrained to vertical. And I dropped that down like that. I grabbed this front one, same thing, grabbed that edge, moved it vertically down like this. And that was kind of the process of doing all this. I went to the center there. Obviously, I didn't quite go to the center. But once I had this shape, that was the simplest part. Then all I did was double click on each of these, right click, make it a group. Double click, right click, make it a group. And I went through and did this on each one. Because some of these, all of these, we're going to have to change a little bit. Make it a group. And no, I didn't do any internal, anything like that. But there we go. So once those were all grouped, I could come in and add depth to each of them. So one of the things I did was I went and looked online, like what's the average depth of a gingerbread house piece, a gingerbread cookie. And I learned that it's about 1/4 inch. So I pulled each of these pieces, grab, push, pull, and I just went in and made this 1/4 inch. So I did that to each of these, and I'm not going to do all of them. I'm not going to make you guys watch me do all of it, but this is enough right here. So once I had done all that, I made sure that everything overlapped properly. So what I ended up doing was taking this, because it meant the least amount of modification. I moved my outside walls in like this. So that way, with them on the inside, everything else ran over. My roofs like this, I went in here and I pulled all of these out by, I think, 1 inch. So 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. And that meant I needed to do a little bit of changing here. So this one's too tall. So I'll try an X-ray and I'll push pull that one down to where it hits the bottom of this wall. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little loose with my designs because it's cookie, right? So worst case, if something's not right, I could always take that cookie and sand it, which I did. I absolutely used sandpaper in the kitchen to do this. Oops, 1/4 inch. There we go. And then same thing, I did the same thing here. I went and I think I made this piece push up to the high side of this because that would sit on top of the roof. Yeah, and then same thing, brought this up. Oops. And then brought all these edges out 1 inch each. There we go. So you get the process. It is literally that simple. And then I have all of my pieces here. I did put doors and windows in. So I did come in here, go into this, find my middle point. I came up so many inches. I mean, this stuff, I really didn't get too hung up on dimensions or anything because, I mean, well, because it's a cookie. I don't feel I should have to justify that or explain that. But yeah, so there we go. So there's a door, window, same thing. I just came over like this, made a window, like about like that, say. And then we'll take that and we'll mirror that option over to here. And then we can pull that through. There you go. So that was the process I went through. I did that until I had all the pieces done like that. I changed some window heights, that kind of thing, and made it work. And then this was probably the most time-consuming, grindy part of this whole thing was taking each of the, and that's not saying much, this was not painful, to grab each of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces and lay them all down flat over here. From here, I took all this stuff and we went out to layout. So like I said before, the pieces I was most concerned about was these 2 front walls and these 2 side walls. These rectangles, I just needed dimensions off of and I could cut them out of gingerbread easy enough. But these pieces, this one, this one, this one, and this one, I actually wanted to be able to, at scale, cut out of a rolled out piece of gingerbread. So what I did this very simply. This is not the ideal way to use layout, but because I had just a couple of views I wanted to put out, I went to my camera, I went to parallel projection, and I zoomed in on the things that I knew I wanted, and I created a couple of scenes. So I created, I believe these 2 were on one, this was on one, this was on one, and then, yeah, I think I had one of this. And then I ended up creating 2 windows next to each other for these pieces. And then I sent the whole thing to layout. So we hopped over into layout. And in layout, like I said, as simple as possible, I went in and I pulled in one piece. You can see here I pulled this one in. And then I put dimensions on. I set my dimensions before I started drawing. I didn't want this to be like down to the 64th of an inch or anything like that. So I did set my dimensions to an 1/8 inch accuracy. So everything's rounded to near 1/8 inch. So I get that may cause a little bit of discrepancy, but again, I'm gonna remind you, I'm making this out of cookie dough. So if anything was slightly off, it was gonna be off by less than 1/8 of an inch. And again, you know, frosting fixes a lot of sins. So that's what I did. I pulled in one, threw a little sidewall on there, put dimensions in, pulled in the other one. I did do these 2 separately because what I ended up doing was cutting this out. I ended up slapping this on a piece of gingerbread, cutting around it, and then rather than flipping it for the other side, I had a fresh one there because it did get kind of wet and, you know, cookie dough. The first time I've worked in food, by the way, building a house, and it was an enjoyable process. Same thing here. I threw this down, cut all these pieces out, did same thing here, and then my final page, right here, here, and here. These were all, I just zoomed in on these separately. I actually duplicated the model window, just copied it 3 times, and then each one I just clicked in and then panned to a different section and then put it up here with the 2 dimensions. Then I just measured and cut that out. But that was it. So I'm right at 10 minutes right now, and honestly, I do think that the full design, starting from start to finish, was probably closer to 15. I did cut a little bit of a corner here and there when I was demoing, but it went really quick. And for going from just a concept like, let's make a gingerbread house, to having what was essentially a set of full-scale plans in 15 minutes, I felt pretty good. And I figured, you know, the video is a visual medium right here, so I'd bring this in. This is how it all turned out. So there you go. Got a house out of the deal, some very sturdy gingerbread, and some equally sturdy sugar frosting in there. But we threw this together. We ended up hot gluing. I know some people, gingerbread purists, I apologize, but we got it put together. We get some sugar windows in there, and my daughter free-handed some people out there and that kind of thing. But we did this. This all was less than a day project, and it was a great way to go from prototype or concept to something that could actually be built. And it was just a lot of fun. So I know we'll probably have to replay this, put this back up on the YouTube channel before next December, but we're afterwards now. But you know what? I looked it up, and there's no rule, no law that says you can't make a gingerbread house in January or February. So I say go for it. I mean, in fact, you know, buying molasses and brown sugar is probably even cheaper in January. They're jacking the prices up in December because they know people want that gingerbread fix. So give it a shot. If you like that video, click like down below. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We create several videos each and every week, and you'll be notified of all of them if you subscribe. Most importantly, though, please do leave us a comment down below. Have you done something with SketchUp that was unexpected or last minute, and have a fun thing or a story to tell about that? I'd love to hear about that down in the comments. Or if there's something you would like to see on this channel, if it's a workflow, modeling a specific thing, let us know that too. We like making these videos a lot. We like them even more when they're showing something you want to see. Thank you.